So anyway, I, of course, am going to talk about Easter just a little bit. Easter Watch 2026. This is my last one. Everybody's like, why does she have this soapbox? Why can't she shut up about Easter, right? Well, I can't, for all the reasons that RFM and Bill and I have been talking about. And I will say, someone in the comments said, well, the LDS Church is evolving. Isn't that a good thing? It is a good thing. But I believe they needed to have some kind of statement where they said, look, everybody, I know in the past we said this, and a lot of you were raised this way, and we are now, sort of moving forward in our way of thinking. They need to acknowledge that this is a complete flip-flop from what it has been in the past. But then that's what causes all of us to go, what is happening? This is not how it was. So thank you for that recap, RFM, of what it was actually like inside the church. Here is a sign, a church next to my house says, worship with us this Easter, March 29th. There it is. The sign's still up. We're going to talk about that at the end. And again, Palm Sunday became Easter for the LDS Church because next Sunday, actual Easter, is General Conference. And instead of choosing to move it, which they could, there's no rule that they can't, although they'll probably make one, they chose to just forge ahead with their very Mormon-centric meeting. And I made this meme here. It's out of order. Palm Sunday celebrates Jesus arriving in Jerusalem. Easter is the culmination of all those events when he is crucified and then the resurrection. So it's like, all right, kids, let's get ready for Christmas Eve, right? After they've already opened their presents. You're doing the holidays out of order. Did you have a comment, RFM?
I see. Yeah, you probably mentioned this, but I'm back at your sign and I'm thinking the person walking by and looking at that sign for the first time might say, wait a second.
They're
Easter
idiots.
isn't on March 29th.
Exactly. I can't
Easter's
tell you
on
how
March
many.
5th.
Yeah.
Or April 5th, excuse me.
Yeah. I can't tell you how many of these signs. Thank you, everybody who has sent me a sign. These signs are everywhere. Celebrate Easter with us on March 29th. I know that people are walking by going, those Mormons, are they, it's very, very confusing. But to the Mormons who do not know, I don't think, had to call somebody in to explain what it is. They don't understand that Palm Sunday is a very different tradition, celebrates a very different thing, a very different kind of observance than is Easter Sunday. So they just don't know, and that's okay. So here's how they kind of got around it. I thought this was interesting. If you go to lds.org, let me scroll in here, they say, worship with us this Easter season. Easter is more than just one day, right? That's how they're getting around it. Easter is a feeling kind of all month long. It's not just one day. It's not the day that everybody else celebrates it. It's more than just one day, right? Join us every Sunday leading up to Easter, and then join us Easter Sunday for a worldwide broadcast of Christ-centered messages and music and the crowning of the LDS prophet. That is not Easter. That is not what any mainstream Christian would expect to see on Easter Sunday. But here it is. This is the message on the website. So Holy Week is coming up, and LDS people don't know what Holy Week is. They're trying really hard. Here is something in the Friend magazine that our friend Martine pointed out to me. It's called Mia's Holy Week, and it goes through from a child's point of view the kinds of things that her family is doing to celebrate Holy Week. They're picking up trash. That's like turning over the temple tables, right? They are taking an empty flower pot and putting a stone in front of it with a little Christ figure in it so that they can open it on Easter, this kind of thing. So this is great. They're trying to help the kids understand this tradition of Holy Week. What's interesting, though, is that the LDS version is a little bit different. They have something that I've seen called elsewhere Spirit World Saturday, because an LDS tradition, unlike other Christianity tradition, Jesus, went and did missionary work in the spirit world. I think in regular mainstream Christianity, he goes to hell to minister to the lost souls, something like that. But so in Mia's story, her parents went to the temple and she helped them print out temple cards. So they're just kind of taking the tradition and kind of making Holy Week their own. So they're trying. What do you guys think about Spirit World Saturday? I know Bill's just like, I can't say.
What I think is that I'll push back on this idea of picking up trash being the equivalent of overturning tables at the temple.
Taking care of your environment.
Rebecca, what we do is overturning the tables at the temple.
Okay, you're right. That is true. Whew, that's it. Anyway, this is great. They're trying to learn about it, and they should be learning about it, but I don't think they should be learning about it from the LDS Church. They should look at the wider Christian traditions so they can understand. So here's another thing a lot of churches are doing. You can tell me in the comments if yours is doing this. It's an Easter walk. It's a Holy Week walk where you go to the stake center. They've set it up with different rooms representing different parts of the last week of Christ's life. And we've seen this all over the place. And this one right here actually has the nerve to call it the 15 stations of reflection, right? Well, there's something that's extremely specific and holy, in the rest of Christianity called the stations of the cross. They're extremely specific. But here the LDS Church has kind of taken them and made them their own and added some of their own. I thought this was, oh my gosh. So somebody asked the question about this, this banner. It was a Facebook post. What religion did this? Is this the neighborhood represented by different religions? The person's wondering, what is this? What's it from? Somebody writes back, oh, we did this as neighbors, but it's an LDS perspective. It goes beyond the resurrection to Christ visiting the Americas, right? So you tell me some Christian that's going to show up at the door there and walk through expecting to see the life of Christ, and they get to the Mesoamerica room. Yeah. What are they going to think then? That's what I'm saying. They're trying to do it, but they're doing it through the lens of Mormonism. Thoughts, Bill? You're shaking your head.
Well, I think you have to have a Heartland room too, since the church takes no position on the geography of where the Book of Mormon took place. Hence, you would have to have a Mesoamerica room and a Heartland room. And hence, I think, regardless of which room you go in, you will certainly be lost.
Yeah.
So is that why there's 15 instead of 14?
There are 14, and they have since added a 15th to be the resurrection. The stations of the cross are just the different points of his walk, the things that happened.
Is that 7? Were there 7 stations of the cross?
No, there's 14, 15 now, but there's 14. Okay. I'm just saying it's so interesting. We're even using that verbiage, but we're adding our own spin of the Meso/Heartland resurrection room, right? So all these things. Anyway, so here's something I thought. Another, I'll never forget, RFM, when you finally got what I was trying to say about General Conference, right? Because I kept talking about it. Yeah, and everyone was like, why is she so beating this drum of General Conference on Easter? But I think it's a place where they do it out loud. They choose Mormonism over what they're pretending to be, which are mainstream Christians. And they choose it. There it is. They're not budging. It's not even a question. So here's another thing that I had forgotten that also illustrates this. So here's a faithful post. The person says, I don't want to be irritated, but I am. My stake decided to have stake conference this weekend. That would be yesterday, instead of celebrating Palm Sunday. This means we don't get the opportunity to have a special Easter program for Palm Sunday or for Easter, right? There it is. And it reminded me that when they announced 1 hour Palm Sunday, they said, of course, unless a stake conference has already been scheduled. So they do not care about celebrating Easter if it runs into their previously scheduled conference, stake conference, their Mormon meetings. Easter is just going to have to wait. And this is all evidence of how little they really care about what Easter is and what it means for families to celebrate together. Let's see. I think I have one more slide here. Okay, so here's my question. Yes.
It's just another example, isn't it?
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Of a tradition with no scriptural backing. I'm talking about when they schedule General Conference, which is always the first weekend that has the first Sunday, in it. Yep. It's governed by the Sunday. If April 1st were a Sunday, that would be General Conference weekend, is all I'm saying. Same with October. There's no reason for that. There's no basis for that.
No.
They could move that easily if they wanted to, but they refuse to because the tradition has become to them the equivalent of doctrine. And this is exactly what the church taught was apostasy 40 years ago when I joined the church. That the Catholic Church and the Protestant churches, their traditions had become their doctrines without any revelation behind them.
That's it. You said it exactly. This is why I keep talking about it, because I think it's just a place where it's pointed out so clearly. And my question now is, and we kind of touched on it before, now that the LDS version of Easter Sunday is over, and that's Palm Sunday, will they remove these banners from in front of the meeting houses, right? Will they remove them? Because if they do, they roll them up, they put them away, we're done with Easter. That shows it too, right? I've already had reports from somebody that has seen 2 banners being taken down. Easter's over for members of the LDS Church. Easter
March 29th is passed.
That's what I mean. Their leaders have told them that's when Easter was. So it's over, right? Now, people have mentioned leave the banners up because people can go into the church buildings and watch conference. Yeah, that's what you want to do when you dress up in your Easter clothes and take your kids somewhere. So do you guys remember last year when President Oaks in his Easter message said, when you go to church on Easter Sunday, you should say he is risen, right? And the correct response from other congregants is to say he is risen back. Well, that wasn't correct. It is a very specific greeting where you're supposed to say he is risen indeed. I just wonder, what do you want to bet that he might try that at conference? Do you think he'll stand up there and say, when I say he's risen, everybody say he is risen back, because that's what the Christians do? I would love to see it. I don't think he's going to do it, but I thought it might be a nice Easter idea. We'll see.
Like aloha?
I like aloha. And my final slide just says this: a nice family dressed up for Easter, looking for a place to go. Mommy, can we go to this church today for Easter? And of course, Mommy says, it looks closed. It must not be a Christian church. If it's closed on Easter, we'll go somewhere else.
And there ain't no cross on that steeple.
There ain't no cross. So I don't know. I talk about this all the time, but now I'll be done. We'll have our Easter recap next Monday, and then no more Easter for another year, right?
Something to look forward to.
Yeah, thank you. I know. She will not shut up about Easter. I've actually had that comment on several of my shorts. So
we'll
I'm
always
sorry,
have
everybody.
pimples.
Exactly. Bill, any final thoughts on Easter? And then we'll just end it.
If anybody wants to go to an Easter service, find a church that does an Easter service.
Yeah.
Mormonism isn't it.
No.
Yep.